So this is the first one. And not all business owners like hearing this one, depending on what level they're at. Those that are going to be successful love hearing this. It's 100% responsibility. When you take 100% responsibility for everything that's going on in the business, you have the power to change it. If you blame it on something else, you immediately lose all power. So take ownership of your current results and challenges. Before change comes responsibility. So you can't change anything unless you take responsibility. But you've got to know that responsibility is not blame. Okay, responsibility is not blame. Because that's the first thing that people say to me. I'm like, oh, you've got to take responsibility for it. They go, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. I said, no. You know, it's not my fault. I go, no, I'm not blaming you, okay? It's not about blame, it's not about right or wrong. It's about having the power to change it. And in taking 100% responsibility, you instantly gain complete power to change it. Well, while the others are sitting there going, oh, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. Oh, it was the GFC. That's that was one of the common ones for quite a few years. And even now, some people still say, oh, it's the GFC. You know, it's just impacting Australia now, and we're feeling it. But the reality is that most of the self-made millionaires prior to the internet revolution, most of them were made in the worst economic times. And yeah, so that's because they took responsibility. They know that, you know, they've got a lot of them maybe, you know, they had a factory, they had 100 employees, which is possibly half the town's employed population. If they went under, the whole town's in trouble. So, and there's, you know, 100 families relying on that factory. And they're like, well, we're going backwards. We're going, you know, we haven't got money to pay our staff and we're about to go bankrupt. What do we do? They've taken the responsibility for the results and they've taken action on that. And that's when they've got serious about it, they've taken 100% responsibility for it. And what are we going to do about it? And they've learned what they needed to be successful. So you have the power to change anything.
I was going to say, I love that story of Oprah, and you know, obviously she's a billionaire, and airline loses her bag, and she said it was my fault. You know, she said I have to take full responsibility for it because if I don't, I can't change it, and it'll keep happening. And it just phenomenal, even right down to, you know, you think how many people blame the airline when their bag gets lost. Oprah's
Everyone,
like, no
automatic response.
Oprah's like, no way, that's my fault. Full responsibility.
And there's the level of responsibility. Saying, oh, you know, how easy is it to blame an airline versus taking 100% responsibility. You know, that's how she becomes a billionaire. You know, it's not by accident, it's by responsibility. So yeah, that's a great example. And I love her story because of where she came from. People complain about, oh, there are circumstances and they like to blame the world and everything else. And like, hang on, at 13, she was homeless. You know, she was a black homeless girl at the age of 13, having a horrific, you know, life, being abused and all sorts of things. And yet she's managed to get to where she is. How does any homeless person come back from that at the age of 13 with, you know, you've got no education, you've got nothing going for you? And in America back then, being black was not a good thing. You know, who's going to give you a go? So, and you're right, she took 100% responsibility and changed her world. You know, did something that most people would go was impossible. So this is it. This is the key. And if you take only one thing, it's this. It's responsibility for your results. It's got to be every time.